Hi, I'm Della Goff with Sutton Real Estate. Welcome to the Vancouver West Neighborhood Show, where small businesses and organizations get to tell their stories and share their products and services. Come join me today and see who we're going to meet. Today I have the pleasure of speaking with Glen Knowles, who owns Gem Chocolate. How are you doing today, Glen?
Very well, thank you very much.
That's good. Glen is an award-winning chocolatier, and we are very fortunate that he owns a company right in Vancouver.
Yeah, right in Kerrisdale.
Yes.
Started the business in 2011 and have been 10 years here in this same location, just one shop. And we have very loyal customers, repeats and the rest, and best advertisement is generally word of mouth.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
And eating your chocolates is a
Exactly.
So what got you started in the business?
It was actually by happenstance. It was non-intentional, completely unintentional. Yeah, I actually have my background is in finance and securities. I used to work at the stock exchange for a number of years in the securities regulator, and then decided I wanted to do something completely different. I enrolled in culinary school, but in the end didn't actually go to culinary school because I did an online chocolate making course over 6 weeks, and what I was making, people were already wanting to buy and order for Christmas. So basically, over the next 6 months after that course finished, I did my business plan and launched an online business and sold enough to pose the question to myself, go big or go home, keep it as a hobby or make it a business. So I chose to give myself 5 years and just start a business and see how far I could go with it.
Wow, it sounds like you have a natural ability right from the get-go.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess it's passion or it's just, luck, sheer luck. I like what I'm doing. Maybe that's what it really comes down to.
Yeah. Yes, and right away you won a whole bunch of awards.
That's right, yeah. The first year I entered a few competitions just to see how I stacked up within the industry. And lo and behold, I actually won 8 awards out of Chicago. And it's not like you go there, make the chocolates in front of the judges, and then they do, because, of course, chocolate takes 2 to 3 days to make. They wouldn't want to sit there and wait for you. Yes. So you basically make your chocolate, send it in by mail, and then it gets judged discreetly so that they don't know that these are Gem chocolates and this is ABC chocolates or whatever.
Okay.
So it's all blind taste testing.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, so it's pretty fortunate. So that gave me the impetus to actually, okay, I am okay. Maybe I can make this into a business. Yeah.
Well, you've done really well.
Thank you very much. Yeah. So I entered competitions both in the U.S. and in Canada for 4 years. And then after winning so many of them, I just decided, okay, that's enough to prove that I'm good. And of course, for a lot of people coming into the shop for the first time, they feel better knowing I have won awards. So it certainly having that cachet of having won awards certainly is a benefit of actually turning it into a sale.
Yes.
But now I don't really need to keep going to competitions.
Okay. And can you tell us something about what your customers are saying?
Well, what they're saying about the shop is first they love the chocolates, fortunately. Nice pat on the back. But I use all quality ingredients. I don't use anything artificial. So I'm not using oils. I'm not using extracts or anything like that. Everything is natural. So if it's a fruit flavored chocolate, it's actually made from pureed fruit particularly I try to get as much BC fruit as I can, so like blueberries from BC. I puree them all summer long, freeze them and keep them, and then use them through the winter so that we always have, peak of season flavors for the fruits, etc. Of course, tropical fruits are not grown here in BC, so those I just bring in as frozen purees. But, like everything else, just try to keep everything natural. The rosemary comes from my friend's rosemary bush. So I know where it all comes from. It hasn't had pesticides or anything like that, so it's all good.
Oh, that's great. I guess you have a lot shorter shelf life for these chocolates.
Yeah, exactly, because I don't use preservatives. So like the ganaches are generally good for about 4 weeks as long as they're properly stored. And caramels are good for several months. Again, properly stored.
Right.
Yeah.
And can you tell us something interesting about your business that most people wouldn't know?
That I didn't go to culinary school. Like most people think that I come from the food industry, or that I worked for another chocolate shop, or I've forever been in food, and that's not been the case, because I'm a Renaissance person. I've just recreated myself after my previous career,
Yes.
and just wanting to do something completely different. So in that sense, I think that's surprising for a lot of people. And then they're also, when they come into the shop, a lot of people think that I'm a franchise or I'm a chain. I guess I take that as a compliment, that the shop looks sharp and still looks fresh and new 10 years later. But it's quite a nice compliment in the sense that they're sort of surprised. Oh, and where do you make chocolates? Where do they come from? It's like behind the wall. It's like it's as easy as that.
Yeah.
It's a long commute.
Well, you can't get fresher than that.
Exactly.
Yes.
And I do make chocolates every day. So, yeah. And the other thing that's probably interesting to a lot of people is they think it's sort of like baking, where you're baking cookies and they'll be done in a few hours. They'll come in, they'll see I've sold out of my ganache-filled figs or whatever, and they'll say, oh, so can I come back in later today or tomorrow? And I'm like, no, you can come in 4 days, 3 days, because that's when they'll be ready.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's also sort of an educational sort of conversation that we have with a lot of customers, so that they understand how chocolate is made. It's not, at a drop of a hat, or just putting, the tray into the oven or into the cooler or whatever.
Yeah.
It's a whole sequence of temperature sensitivity, of melting chocolate, cooling chocolate, heating it up again before you actually start to use it. It's doing the color the first day and the decoration. Second day is doing your shell and filling the chocolate, and the last day is actually capping it or putting the foot or the bottom, the base of the chocolate on.
Well, that would be fun to watch you do that.
Yeah, well, it is messy. It is messy, and for a lot of people, they just dream about the Lucy show of packing chocolates or getting chocolates all over their hands. Yeah.
And can you tell me, is there anything exciting or interesting coming up in the future right now for you?
Exciting coming up into the future. So hopefully we won't be doing all these masks. Everything pandemic will be behind us. I think that'll be the most exciting thing. But I think in terms of flavors and that sort of thing, I have a lot of new ideas around new flavors, because we're constantly introducing new flavors as far as the collection of chocolates. Right now, we're moving into the fruit season, so it's a lot more fruit flavors, and so I'm doing a lot of combinations of tropical fruit mixed with BC fruits.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that is exciting.
Yeah, like the next chocolate I'm working on today is a cosmopolitan chocolate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just like the drink.
Okay. Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah. Like last week I just made avocado and rum.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, you have a very diverse amount of chocolates here.
Yeah.
And just tell me, I was reading a little bit about this famous chocolate that you have here, the Rarest chocolate. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, that's chocolate. I've named the bar. I make it as a bar. It's called Lost and Found, and it's sort of a tie or a play on the fact that it was the luxury chocolate of the 1800s, and there's Vanna White. Thank you, Della. So it was the luxury chocolate of the 1800s right up until about 1915. And what makes it unique compared to all other varieties of cacao, which is how in the industry we refer to cocoa beans, and when they're unprocessed, they're considered cacao, is that this is like peaches and cream corn. It has white and purple beans inside the pod, whereas all other varieties of chocolate are just purple beans.
Oh, okay.
And so the fact that there's a white bean in there, it introduces a nutty, floral flavor profile to the purple beans, which also introduce a different flavor profile. So you get a real blend. And then this chocolate, the other that's very unique about it and what makes it so special is it has the lowest anthocyanin of all chocolate varieties in the world. And anthocyanin is bitterness. So even though this is a 62% chocolate, it almost tastes so smooth that it's like a milk chocolate.
Oh, wow. That sounds delicious.
Yeah. So anyone that is sensitive to what they call black chocolate, dark chocolate, because I think they've been eating all baker's chocolate, but personally, but it's like if they've been attuned to that sort of bitterness of a chocolate, this may be a good alternative for them in the sense that it's extremely smooth and velvety to the palate.
Wow, that's amazing. That sounds
Yeah,
delicious.
and the nice thing about this chocolate too is actually really high in iron naturally.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so in anyone that's with iron deficiency, if you ate 1 bar of chocolate, it's basically your full component
Oh,
for iron.
yeah, wouldn't know that. So,
Yeah,
that's
and
great.
unlike other varieties of chocolate where there isn't iron present.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you, Glen. Can you tell people how to contact you?
Sure, the shop is located at 2029 West 41st Avenue. We're between Maple Street and East Boulevard on the north side of the street. As you can see, it's a blue and white shop, so it's your non-traditional chocolate shop because it's not brown. Telephone number 604-263-9878, or you can reach us at gemchocolates.ca.
Well, thank you for joining us today. That's our show today. And Glen, it's just been a pleasure getting to know you. I'm excited that we've had this interview, and I just really hope that people come and check out this chocolate. You're going to love them, and they are beautiful. I'm Della Goff with Satin Real Estate. Contact me if you have any questions, and if you are a small business owner who would like to be interviewed, please contact me as well. Thank you again, and please shop local.
Thanks very much, Della.